Right, morning. In this episode, we're going to be working on. We've got this Golf. It's got multiple engine faults. I think he sent us the codes over, so we think it's one circuit's gone down. So that should be quite an interesting one. Barney's going to do a roof fault on what car's that? 307.
Peugeot 307.
307 roof fault. We've got a barn find. It's been in the barn for 8 years. Hasn't been run in that time, obviously. They've pulled it out. They've tried to get it started, bit of easy start, bit of this, bit of that, but it hasn't been run. They can't work it out. It's coming in for an immobilizer fault, an immobilizer removal. So we're going to show you that one as well. You might be able to see the bonnet over there, see if you can work out what that one is. And so we're going to get that immobilizer stripped out. So you've never done one of them before, have
you? No.
So when they fit these immobilizers, the old school type immobilizer, you'll see when you pull it out, it'll be a box with a load of black wires on. And then it goes up and cuts into the loom here, there, and everywhere.
Okay.
So you can't just, what the Thief can't do now is cut the immobilizer and know what wires to join because they're all black. So you've got to go right the way back to where it's gone into the manufacturer loom, and we'll cut it back and put it back to exactly how it was. So hopefully that one will be an interesting one. So we should have 3 cars in this episode. Let's see how we go.
Right, hello people. We got this Peugeot 307 in today. It's come in with a roof fault. Customer says she's taken it to another garage and says they've scanned it and the boot always says that it's opened, so the roof won't open itself. So let's plug the scanner into it and let's see what we got. Right, so as you can see, I've scanned it now and there's not a single fault on the car. This is the roof module, so I'm going to go into it and check the live data and see what it says. The boot is closed. If the lock itself was faulty, we would have had a code in there. What I'm going to do now is try and open the roof, watch the live data, and that will point us in a more of a general direction of what way we want to go, whether it's the boot lock or it's the actual hydraulic pump itself for the roof. So let's try that and see where it's going to leave us. But I've got the live data open now on the scanner, and I'm now going to try and open the roof and see what it does. So this is me holding the open button. I'm still holding it and nothing else is happening. So because the windows have gone down, we now know what the lock status is. So the lock itself is actually okay and the car itself does think it's closed. Because if it thought it was open, it wouldn't have even put the windows down or tried to start to open. It would have just come up with a malfunction on the screen inside the car. The next stage after the windows going down is the hydraulic side. So I'm going to go find the hydraulic pump in the car and run some tests on the pump itself and see what that is telling us.
So I've got this 2017 C4 Cactus, funny thing. This one has semi-automatic gearboxes. We never take these on because they're an absolute pain. We had one in, a C3 in about a month ago. Just could never calibrate in the clutch, etc. But this customer had taken it to a garage. They said it had no communication with the transmission control module. So we agreed to have a look at it if it is definitely a no communication fault. It's not actually no communication. We can talk to the gearbox, we can talk to the ABS, and we can talk to the engine, but all 3 of them say they can't talk to each other. So one of them's knocking it out. Let's show you the diagram. I'll show you how the CAN system is sort of linked on these, and then we might be able to work out what's going on. So this is engine control module. We can talk to that. The ABS, the engine talks to the ABS, and then it actually goes through. So that's a gateway, 2 CAN lines in, 2 CAN lines out. That talks to the underbonnet fuse box, but it also links off and goes down to transmission control. So we've got something on the CAN system here which is playing about and it doesn't like it. So I don't know where to start. So let's get the bonnet open, see whether these are laid out, see if we can see anything untoward, corrosion or something, and possibly have to go to the ABS unit and work out what's going where. So let's go.
I've located the roof pump on this and I've just given it a little bit of a visual inspection, which I'll show you. This is the roof control module and that is the roof pump. So just quick little glance on this. There's a little bit of corrosion around the top of the plug. I've pulled the plug, there's nothing underneath, so it's literally just on them little bits there. This is the roof pump. As you can see, it's encased in this foam casing, which they love to do. And there's a little bit of corrosion everywhere. So on the under part of this relay little boxes, there's some corrosion on the wires. There's also some corrosion on the pins of the relay and the internal pins of the plugs. And just look at this, it's in a foam case where the water can't escape once it goes in. It just corrodes all around the pump. And yeah, I think we're on the right path. So let's go to the diagram and find out what all these wires do, and then we can start doing some testing, see what we've got going in and out, and yeah, let's find some stuff out. Come with me.
Right, Barnacus. So this is the hydraulic motor, yeah?
Yeah.
That pumps one way and it pumps the other way, yeah?
Yeah.
So like you're doing on the handbrake motor, you're putting a wire on, live and earth, push the motor in, reverse it, pulls it back out, yeah? So that's what hydraulic motor's done. That's what that hydraulic motor does. So these relays are there, so I would think earth, that's going to be earth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so your earth comes up here and it goes directly to the motor constantly. Yeah?
Yeah.
So both sides of that motor has got a constant earth going to it. When you put the motor one way, the relay is flicked over. So that's from the control module. As it powers that relay, that earth stays there. So it literally comes up the earth pointing round. This one flicks over to a live, which is this one here, the main 30 amp coming in. So
okay,
that'll flick over to there, it will spin one way. And then when you turn that one off and you want to go the other way, put it down or back up, this one gets activated. It's already got its earth going through that one. This one gets activated, moves across, power goes through that one, spins the other way. Yeah?
Okay.
So they are there to reverse polarity. If it's just a normal motor, it would add earth there and one relay just to turn it on and off. That's why we've got a 5-pin relay. So the earth, if you check that through, earth's going to come in on pin 5, which is probably going to be the centre pin, but it should go out on pin 1 to there. So if when this one goes across to live, on that motor, which should be the same motor, one should be live, one should be earth. So it's going to check that, see what we find on it, yeah?
Okay.
These are lives in, which we've got live on both of them, yeah?
Yep.
There your earth's in the centre pin. Yeah?
Yep.
And these ones should go to earth as well, which they do. So that small red, small black, what we're going to do, I'm going to press a button. You should hear one of these click over. So that one of them should go live and the other end should stay as earth. So just test that wire and that wire, see what's doing what once I've done it. They're clicking now?
Yeah.
Right. So first thing, find out which one's clicking.
Okay, hold it up.
And off.
Yeah.
And up.
So, found it.
Right. See, you know which one's clicking?
So, that one was clicking.
Right. So, go onto that red wire.
Yeah.
And when it clicks, see what it's doing. What's it doing?
So every time it clicks for about 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds, it's got power, and then it goes back to earth.
Right. So we know we're getting power down this wire, which should then, because we've got earth on that side, the pump should either work or we're losing earth on this one. So going to that one now.
Yeah.
When you know this one's clicking over, that one should stay earth. If it goes live, we've got an earthing problem.
Okay. It goes live.
Right, now I'm going to go the other way.
Yeah.
Now hold it on that wire.
Yeah.
We're going live.
Live
And the other side
is also live.
Right. Right, and just go on to the centre pins. When I hold it, the black centres.
Yeah.
Does it stay in earth?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Right. So you're testing. We're testing on these ones. What go over to the motor? Yeah.
Yeah.
So because we've got earth on this one, it's showing up as a good earth. Yeah. As soon as that one goes over to live, that earth drops away. But if you test on pin 5, the earth stays there, but this earth is dropping away. Yeah.
Okay.
So that means there's a bad contact in there. Let's get the relays out, get them open. Guarantee you've got corrosion in it.
Okay.
These relays are sealed. So on the testing we was doing, when he was as good as me, you can sort of do it and know what's going on because it's already got a load on it on the motor. But we've got them out. You can't take them apart to do any checking, but I will show you how we could have checked it in another way. So earth was on centre pin, and this one wasn't carrying any load between them, but it was showing a good earth on it.
Yeah.
So we're going to use this as a normal multimeter. If you're checking earth, you go put your lead on the positive side, yeah, and then you go onto there, and that is showing 13 volts, yeah. So you'd think that's making continuity, yeah.
Yeah.
If you put a load on it, which is what this button does, what's the meter? It's dropped down to nothing.
Okay.
And that is just a load in there. So you could do that with a bulb as well. So if you want to load up a circuit, you can do it with a bulb. So Load Pro, got that on a James Dillon course. Real clever bloke he is. He does very good training courses. So yeah, we got one of these on his course. So literally, if anyone was going over that with a meter, even meter, power probe, whatever, that's showing that that's got good continuity. It's carrying a voltage, but it's not carrying any load. And this is only a tiny load. That wouldn't light up a bulb at all, like a 501 bulb, 5 amp bulb, nothing. So that's showing we've got resistance. In fact, get one of them yellow relays. So as you can see, centre pin to outside pin, dropping away as soon as you press the button. And then with a known good relay, go to the centre. It'll drop down a little bit, but not a lot. Got your 13 volt, probably down to 13, possibly. Just showing it's got a tiny load on it. So it means your switch is working. So that's a good relay, that's a bad relay. So that's why you should really have one of these on there all the time. If you're using a meter instead of a probe, when you're testing something, put it onto the live, you know it's a good live, press that. If it holds live, you're good. If you do that, if it's got corrosion down one of the plugs, that will show it up.
Oh, okay.
So that, Load Pro, beautiful. Right, put some relays in it, see if it works. Right, so this C4, I've had a look into it. I'll show you. So we started looking into it. The traction control. So the traction control on this C4 is saying it can't talk to the engine and ABS. It doesn't like it. Engine is saying that can't talk to ABS and traction control. It doesn't like that. But the ABS itself doesn't say any faults. It can't talk to the engine or can't talk to traction. But it has got a fault in there for a wheel speed sensor. So we've checked it all out. Let me show you where it all is. So there's your ABS pump. We've checked all the wiring in and out of that. That's looking okay. There's your traction control module. No, there's your transmission control module. All the wiring and everything seems okay. All voltages are okay. And it's basically saying that they're talking to each other, but they don't like something. Done a resistance check on these sensors, and this front sensor is down. It has got a dead short on it. So I'm a bit concerned it's doing something. It either doesn't like that, it doesn't know what all four speeds are doing. I've never had a car not start because of an ABS sensor, but you know, or is it shorted out? Doesn't the ABS ECU is getting the ump? I don't know. So I've ordered in a sensor. I'm going to fit that in there, see what it does. All we've done is fitted the sensor. We haven't fitted it in the hub. We've only plugged it in. Let's see if that'll clear now. Oh, so I've just cleared the ABS code and the gearbox has started clicking over. Double check that fault code, no fault code in there. So that gearbox I can hear clicking away, doing stuff. So they've cleared out of the engine ECU. Let's just go into transmission. Oh no, that was transmission, sorry. So all the codes that were in there are clearing, and the gearbox is now clicking and doing stuff and going out in the gear. I can't believe it was down to a wheel speed sensor. But in a minute, clear. They've all cleared. So does that mean it will start? Hold on. We've never done that. So put it into neutral. You can hear the gearbox going in. Well, there we go. Who knew? Right, so I haven't, like I say, haven't put it into the hub. I've just connected it up. Now, is it the sensor shorted and caused the issue, or is it that these don't like not knowing where all wheel speeds are? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to disconnect that sensor. It puts another fault back into it, just for my own curiosity. Disconnect it, see if it will start. Connect the old one back up, see what affects it. Let's go and do that. So all I've done is disconnected that wheel speed sensor. Looks like it's still going into gear. Assume ABS light's going to come on. Right, let's let it trigger its code. So yeah, okay. Now the ABS knows it's got a fault in it. Still starts. How weird's that? Right. So let's connect the old sensor back up, let it shut down, start it back up, and see what that comes up with. So there we go. It's back to non-start with that connector, with that sensor connected up. So it must be shorting out, upsetting the whole system, and that's it. So what can we do? Come back to neutral. Yeah, it doesn't like it. So right, we'll get the sensor in there, and that's a good one.
Right, so I'm in the car now. We've fitted the 2 new relays. Let's test out the roof, and hopefully it's going to work. Oh, that's a good sign. The boot's opening. And would you look at that? She's a beauty. And the roof works again. Let's make sure it closes now. Beautiful. So now we're going to put it all back together. Job's a carrot. Hey, I've never been in a convertible before. It's a weird experience.
So 2014 Golf's come in. It's got the engine light on. It had it code red somewhere else. Phoned me up with all the codes. Looking them all up, it looks like it's possibly all on one circuit. So let me show you what we got. So we've got 5 codes, all static. So they're all active. Something's happened to it. So these are the ones we're going to be concentrating on. Charge air cooler pump, circuit low. Heater support pump, circuit short to ground. Oil pressure regulation, and coolant circulation valve. So we're going to have a look on the diagrams, see if they're linked at all, and then we can see what we think the fault's going to be. Right, as always, we start on the diagram, try and work it out ourselves before we go too deep and opening bonnets, probing stuff, etc. We need to know what we're going to test before we go and test it. No point in just going out, probing and guessing and confusing yourself. So let's find these. There's 4 in the thing. There we are. So down here, we'll just zoom in, because we suspected we had it would all be linked. These four over here are linked with their reference voltages and their earths, it looks like, and then its sensors coming out. So it could have been them ones, but funny enough, we did go these ones first. We have got engine coolant pump motor, turbocharger, intercooler, coolant pump. So that's two of the coolant pumps, a coolant bypass solenoid, and the oil pressure control valve. So yeah, that's one what we need to have a look at. So this circuit doesn't link any earths, but it does link these red, blue and whites. So I assume that's going to be fused. So 10 amp fuse, fuse 7 in the engine bay. So that's where we're going to start. There's a good chance that fuse is going to blown, unless either that wire or possibly one of these components have failed. If that one blows the fuse, it'll obviously give up a fault for that. So let's check this fuse. What do we say? Fuse 7, 10 amp, under bonnet. So we're going to get the bonnet open, get a probe on there, just do some basic testing. Again, no getting into it, breaking out oscilloscopes and blah, 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 blah. Just do some basic fault finding first before we go any further. Right, so we've got the under bonnet fuse box stripped out, just a normal probe. Let's just check what voltages we got on that on fuse 7. So we'll start on fuse 8, just make sure we're getting good readings. So that one's okay. Live one side, live the other. Fuse 7, live one side, earth circuit the other side. That means that fuse is guaranteed to be blown. When you're checking fuses, if it does come up with an earth path or a live either side, still doesn't mean that the fuse is okay. So it's always worth double checking. But when you've got a fuse which is different either end, you know for a fact that that fuse is gone. So we're not just going to go ahead and check the fuse. That earth path, let's see what type of resistance we got down it, see if it's dead short to ground. So let's get a meter set up on it and we'll find out what's going on with that circuit.
Right, everyone, this is the mystery car in the background of the intro. Right, this is an 88, 89-ish Peugeot 205 GTI. And fun fact, you can tell it's a 1.9 because on the rear it will have discs and pads and not drums. Fun fact of the day. But yeah, this has come in with non-start, so the customer's asked us to take out the immobilizer. I have had a quick inspection because this is an old school type of immobilizer where you just put a card in and it joins all the connectors up and the wires and it will run. But as you can see, it's already been cut out. I was looking about underneath the dash and I can see a flashing light that is 100% aftermarket. So we're going to dig that out and see what we can find. Well, hey. Right, as you can see down there, that is the immobilizer box. So what I'm doing now is I'm just tracing all the wires through for a better understanding of where they've chopped the immobilizer into the loom so we can go in and repair it as such. But yeah, it runs off in every which direction and we have a household amount of wiring just for this little box. So I'm going to run through, find out where they've chopped it into, and once I've found every location, I'll show you, and I'll show you what the repair is going to be like. But as you can see, this is indeed a proper barn find. The previous owner had it sat there for 8 to 9 years, and you can see where all the little mice have been in, nibbled up some paper in this footwell down here. There's a plastic bag that has got more holes in than a cheese. I've got to admit, I do really like the car because I'm a weirdo.
Right, so I've got a meter set up. This is a meter you haven't seen on the channel before. We just bought a new tablet and set it back up again. Our old tablet had failed, so yeah, pretty good little bit of kit. It's a 2-channel Bluetooth meter. Curion, I think they're called. We've got them from Impact Diagnostics. Got it a couple of years ago. I'm sure he does still sell them. But you can test 2 things at a time. So we can go on to, not that you need to, I'm just showing you what it does. Go on to the live side of the fuse, got battery voltage. And then with this side, which is set into ohms, you can even check what ohms you got down it. So you don't need to keep changing your meter around, etc. The one we thought we had a short on is actually 158 kilo ohms. So it doesn't look like we've got a dead short on it. Now's the point where we can put a put another fuse in it. I think we'll put a 5 amp one in there, just so if it does blow, it's going to blow quite quickly. Put a little 5 amp in there, see if it blows instantly, which I'm sure it's not going to. And then if not, we'll start it up. Maybe it's only shorted when something's activated, not sure. So let's get a fuse into it, see what that does. Right, so this is the fuse that's blown, and again, for our testing, I mean, it's basic as you like, but it is blown. Let's put this one in there. Sure enough, no, it hasn't blown yet. So we'll go across it with a voltmeter. Battery voltage first side, and battery voltage the following side. So yeah, it hasn't got a dead short. So we're going to clear the codes, start it up, and then come back while it's running, check we've got voltage here, see what's going on. Right, so we've just started it up, run it up, cleared the codes, etc. I'm sure we're still going to be good. Yep, the fuse hasn't blown. I'll show you that on the normal probe as well. So live and live still. But what I will show you. So we did start with 4 codes. I was expecting the fuse to blow again and keep giving up the 4 codes, but it hasn't. But it has come up with the oil pressure regulation valve. So that may have had an internal fault and shorted it, and now the short's gone or something like that, but it's definitely got a fault on that. So we're going to get to this oil regulation valve, check the wiring down to it. It could have some bad wiring going to it, it's shorted against the engine. So this is pointing this in the direction, without stripping anything, without doing too much of it, we're sort of getting in the right direction. So let's get that stripped, see what we find.
As you see, the immobilizer box here, and I have found out where every single one of the wires from this runs to. We've got, this is the main power for the immobilizer, where they've chopped it into the ignition, which has actually already been bypassed. So they've done a semi-bypass on the ignition before, so these two can literally just be cut out and pretty much ignored. Obviously we've got to cut the little fuse connector out. We've got another one that runs to the ignition barrel itself. They run a coil around it, so we can cut that out. That's actually, this one isn't spliced to any. We've got one that runs up here. We've got one that runs up into the center, which is for the flashing immobilizer light. That's been spliced in, so we just chop that out, connect that back up. And we've got one chopped in down here that runs from the ECU. That's the ECU plug, and it's spliced into the loom for that itself. So we'll chop this out and connect it up like that. And we've got another one chopped in on the side here. There's an earthing point, so we'll chop that out and connect it back up as should be. But yeah, it's a complete rat nest in these things. They run a million cables from them, all of which are pretty much essential for the immobilizer box itself. But it does make for a hard work just finding out where they've run them all to, because people with free will run them in the most awkward spots, so they're completely out of the way, and it's then for us to find out the exact routes they've run, so we can identify where they've chopped it into the loom, chop it out and connect the loom back up as it should be. But yeah, I'm gonna get on that now and I'll show you when it's done and looking pretty. Ta-da! As you can see, I've gotten the immobilizer out and I've connected everything back up, and we've still got the same issue, it's cranking non-start. So we're going to contact the customer now, see if he's happy for us to continue investigation, see why it's not starting, and yeah, we shall come back to you with an update.
So we've checked the wiring, etc., down to the oil control solenoid, normally around the back of the engine, but this one is tucked right down the front of the engine, right behind the air conditioning pump. We can see the wiring. It's not chafed anywhere along that side of the wiring. So if we could have seen a chafe on it and maybe cut through, we might have been able to look at it. But now we need to get to that solenoid, which means stripping it all out to check that solenoid, check the wiring backwards and forwards to find out whether it just needs that solenoid or not. We're not mechanics, but we can do that. We could get it up on a ramp and just pull it forward and stuff. But once we do that and we start removing it, that's it, off the road until we get the part in, get it all back together. So I need to speak to the customer. We've narrowed all these faults down. It hasn't got 4 or 5 faults going on. We had one which had blown a fuse. We know one component's failed. The chance of that failing and one of the other pumps mucking about blowing a fuse, pretty remote. So we have to fix one thing at a time. So we're going to call the customer, see when's a good time for him to leave it here so we can just have it, strip it, get it repaired, get it back together, and then we can go from there. So I shall give you an update. It might not be fixed on this video, but we've done the initial investigation, what we wanted to show you. And yeah, let's see you on the next one. Not a bad couple of days. How did we get on with that one?
Immobilizer's out.
Yeah.
Still crank non-start, so
Right.
customer confirmed some more work on it. So
Yeah.
we'll have a look into why it's not starting there.
Cool. So we've done the Golf, stripped all that one out. Customer gave us the authorization to go ahead, strip it. We've stripped it. We've tested the control solenoid. That's failed. So that's coming in tomorrow. We'll be able to fit that one back together. So that's another one done. What else was I looking at? That's 3 I was going to look at, wasn't it? Oh, you done the 307 roof, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so 307 roof's all working. So I've learned how relays work and all that sort of stuff. Backwards and a forwards and a backwards.
Well, it's ready for winter. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? So we managed to squeeze in the C4 Cactus as well. Yeah, ABS sensor causing a non-start. Who'd have thought? So,
So once.
so since last week, we've had 1,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. Yeah, we was looking at getting to 5,000 by Christmas, and we're at 3,500 already. So, yeah, can't believe it. So, yeah, thanks so much for that. Must be down your pretty face, eh?
Well, I didn't want to say it, but
Yeah. So, right, yeah, thanks very much for that. And like I say, do the old if you can, and we will see you on Monday, won't it?
Yeah.
No, we'll see you. We'll be Monday.
Well.
See you Wednesday night. So, job's a carrot. Ta-da!
ta-da!